Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, July 14th. It is 7:15 a.m. Um, I a little bit late coming on this morning because I woke up at 7. Uh, it was so funny. I woke up today. I was like, is it Friday? Um, I have another long but exciting Friday. We have our last day of Khyber, of our Khyber camp. Um, uh, so that's going to be fun. We're actually going to uh, we're going to do some more training. We're going to watch another Star Wars movie, and then we're going to free spar. So, good morning. The what is it called? So in our saber class, we have been kind of doing kenjutsu style stuff, but when that translates to free spar, it just turns into whack, 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 whack. There's nothing, there's no organization to it. Kids are getting their knuckles hit. I'm getting my thumb hit. I think it's not bad, but it happens. So, and honestly, I don't know why I didn't think about this earlier. But we're going to do modular today. We're going to do modular lightsaber. And, so I figured out, an easy way. Let's see, 1-4-12 is pretty easy. 1-2-2, slight learning curve when it comes to the lightsaber, but yeah, my daughter and I were playing with it, and we played with it last night in like after our adult class, and yeah, like it actually is a little bit more dynamic, and so modular lightsaber, it is a thing. It's very, very cool. So but anyway, so that's so I've got that today, and let's see, tomorrow, let's just say this, pretty much every day is going to be a long day for me until next Monday, in which I will probably sleep in. Because on, let's see, because next week we have Bram's birthday camp. I've got, our 5-day experiencers. We've got 12 people plus me and Bram for that. I think I know we're going to be at least one person short for that, just because they're not able to make it just due to illness. But we've given them access to Zoom. Not that day 2 and 3 are going to, or one. We are going to be recording, so that'll be a thing. But yeah, so but Bram gets here Tuesday, and then our 5-day camp starts very early Wednesday. And so basically when it comes to just running a camp, it takes a lot of energy, like a lot of brain power, a lot of planning. I finally got the bags yesterday, getting the rest of the shirts. I've had some dumb moments in the last couple weeks, or in the last week or so. Well, one of them has been going on for a while, but I just realized I was dumb last week. So, but I'll explain that one in a second. So I order shirts. I collected all the shirts. Well, I had most of the red shirts that not to be associated with Starfleet red shirts, but I had most of the red shirts for the 5-dayers, because 5-dayers get three shirts, one for Saturday, or one for Wednesday, one for Thursday, and then of course the Saturday camp shirt. So one of those colors, because Bram wanted to do CSD colors, one of them is red. So I got red, and I only needed two larges, I think. And so I ordered 2 reds, and not thinking, like, that I should have actually ordered cardinal, not red, but specifically cardinal, because that's the color that we've been using. So that's a thing. So I have these. I actually ordered 3, so I have 3 red large shirts that don't match the other one, so I had to reorder those. Unfortunately, my wholesaler closed their local facility, so I can't just drive down and pick up. I have to, and not pay for shipping. I have to order and then wait a couple days. So those shirts I think should be here today. But then I also had a couple extra people register that I didn't have shirts for the Saturday camp. So because when I ordered, I tried to order a little bit of extra for the yellow, just for those last minute stragglers. So but yeah, so I was like, okay, well, I'll order the Saturday shirts, and I'll order these 2 reds. So anyway, those should be here today. So then shirts will be finished. Then my wife is working on name tags for the bags for the 12, and yeah, it's like, they're just so awesome. So anyway, really looking forward to the camp coming up, but it's going to be some long training days. It's going to be awesome. So not just long training days, but just like preparing stuff. And yeah, so that's kind of all. It's a lot of work, but it's going to be exciting. But yeah, but Bram gets here Tuesday, flies in, stops in about in the afternoon, and then I've got my Tuesday night classes, and then yeah, pretty much after the Tuesday night class, I have to set up for the camp for the next morning, even though we're not going to be training at the school on Wednesday morning. We are all meeting there. So I have to make sure that there's everything, that there's everything's kind of set up for kind of like a little breakfast, and because I'm gonna have muffins and tea and coffee and all that kind of stuff for people, just to kind of, because we're going on a 2.5-hour drive to get to our first location on Wednesday. So Tuesday is also, I pick up a van. Like, there's so much stuff going into this, but if it hadn't been for, this is my 6th year doing Bram's birthday camp. So I've basically, all of everything that I've done in the past, it's all kind of coming. It's like doing the 3-day, that's old hat stuff. But it's all the extra, like, yeah, anyway, exciting, but a lot of work. Yeah, Warren, the people who attend camp rarely understand the amount of details I have to go into. Yeah, absolutely. Hosting and hosting and promoting, and when it comes to being a camp host, ton of work, ton of work. Um, the what is it? Stop playing with my toes. I've got the okay. So if I can catch her, I've got this new kitten. Her name, I when I introduced her, I thought I introduced her as Una. Still kind of like that name, but we have we've talked about what is it? So her name is actually Kata. We decided on Kata. So Dojo and Kata, but she likes to play with toes. So, so yeah, it's what was I saying? But yeah, I mean, now doing like a 1-day seminar, if you have a school, if you have a physical location, doing 1-day seminar is, you'd think that it isn't a lot of work, but especially like, okay, so Jason, he says, booking a venue is a lot. Well, yeah, especially if you don't have a school. And for a long time, I did not have a school. So it's trying to find a location that is not going to charge you a lot of money. Because when doing a camp, doing a seminar, hosting a seminar, it is all I want to do is break even. That's all I want to do. That's my goal. I mean, yes, we want to make money. We're all about it's, in the end, you want to make a little bit of money, but in reality, it's all about it's truly all about breaking even, because you don't want to lose money on doing a camp. So, and I've lost money and I've made money throughout the years. Fortunately, with Bram, we never lose money. He always leaves with something. But yeah, my first, okay, the first time I hosted a seminar ever, I hosted, I think it was Mark Klein. I attempted, okay, so back in 2000, I spoke with, and it was actually probably going to be 2001. I spoke with, I was going to host Jack Hogan out here. But because I was a junior DKI guy, that was shot down because only senior DKI guys in the area could actually host. And I was not on proper terms with, I was not really on speaking terms with the senior DKI guy. So anyway, so that was, and it wasn't because of Jack, it was at the powers be. So so that kind of fell through, but we know, yeah. So, but Jack wanted to come out. I was actively promoting it until it was shot down. But I really didn't, my first one really wasn't until, I think it was 2000, was it 2011? I had been talking to Klein, over the years, and he finally was like, "Hey, when are you going to have me out?" I've told this story several times. And so he came out. And then, it just kind of grew from there. But my one of my good friends, Dan Anderson, he has a school in Gresham, and so he rented me the location. We had a 2-day seminar, so it was a Saturday and a Sunday, and surprisingly, people showed up. I mailed out flyers, I emailed people, I I went around to different schools and all that kind of stuff, but it was all, it was out in Gresham. And then I think the second time Mark came out, when at least looking for a venue, I was like, hey, I think Mark had called me up and he says, hey, if I fly out to you and I fly down to wherever, he says, I'll have enough miles this year to bump up to gold status. So I sent out an email maybe I posted something, and I was like, hey, anybody know of a place that that I can host at last minute? Because it was going to be like, we did it in December, and I had Joanne and Uriel. They had a school out in Hillsboro, and they're like, yes, we'll host it for you for free. So I did all the work. They gave their location. And so we actually had quite a few Klein seminars out there over the years. And then, of course, with Bram's Camp, when I suggested, because he used to have those up in Vancouver, BC, and then they just weren't happening anymore. When I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I utilized all the different, I was part of the PTO at the elementary school. And so we set it up, we finagled, we set up a PTO event, like a PTO fundraiser, so we actually had the gym at the elementary school over for the weekend at the summer. End of the summer, and my wife works for the district. She actually worked for the school. So we had the district employee on site. So we, checked all the boxes, but I didn't have to jump through all the red tape to do that. And so it was just finagle. And of course, the year 3 was COVID. And so we started having it in my backyard. Well, that is so much. I have to mow. I have to, there's so many things that I got to do that, and of course it's July, so it's hot. I think one year we actually had, it was high 70s cloud cover. So it was very nice and cool the entire time. But the last couple, there was one where we had one guy, he was he's not on the West Coast anymore. I think he moved to Florida, but this one guy, was his Jason? I think his name was Jason. He had a school in Salem, and he just couldn't make it. Sunday, he was he was so wiped out. And so that's why this year, I have a school, I might as well use it. So that's why I moved it to the school. But and one of the reasons I did not want to have it at the school is because I have a small school. It's not big, but I can hold, a good number of people on my mat, but it's not big. I think Saturday we're looking at 30 people, which is freaking awesome. If everybody shows up. So yeah. Okay, so Italian be making pizza and pasta. I don't understand the reference, sir. But welcome back. You've been on, I know you've popped in here before. Can I ask where the email I sent? Oh, yes. Yes, Warren, I got it. Thank you. I apologize if I didn't reply. I'm one of those people that I think I've replied in my head, and or at least I replied in my head, but I never actually pressed send. But yes, I did get it. Thank you very much. which I will get to. That's actually when it comes to Jim's book, that's kind of me being uh, my other. I can't believe how dumb I was, but anyway, and all of this stuff for Brams Camp and hosting, being a host, because there were there have been some seminars where like um, you think you get it out, you think you do all the promoting, you try it, and just like nobody shows up, like not even your students, which is really sad. Um, and not to say that none of my students had shown up, but I had this part of my student group was I was teaching out at a church, and we actually used the church for the camp, and it was just a 1-day seminar. Had Mark Klein out, and Harvey and his son came down. Harvey's always been a big supporter of mine, and of course, we're friends. He's friends with Mark, so any chance that you can get. And then what is it? So he came down, and then I think I had one student from my church, from the church group that I was teaching, and I think Thomas. Yeah, not a lot of people. And then some guy shows up and thought that it was it only cost $10 for the seminar, or maybe it was only $2 or so. I don't know where he got it. I'm like, he's like, well, that's what it was online. And I'm like, are you sure? Because like, yeah, it was crazy. I've actually had I hosted Klein once, and when he came out, my website had crashed. Like I don't know what it was, but like completely down. So, and I ran all my registration. I've always run registrations through my website, and it's died. Like I think it may have actually gotten hacked. So that's probably one of my biggest roadblocks. But like I've done, Dane Anderson and I had an idea to kind of do, and I had this idea for a while. I know Jack did it a little bit with who's it called? Like he'd do stuff with Bruce Chu and Leon J as kind of like a next generation of the big three. And so I kind of did the same thing with Klein because, I've got Modern Arnis, that's Dan Anderson. He's local. I've got Small Circle Jiu-Jitsu with Stan Miller, very talented martial artist. He's local. And Klein, Pressure Point. So you got the big three, just the next generation of the big three. And so so I started promoting, and I think we did two of them, and we promoted a third one, and for some reason Stan couldn't make it, so it just ended up turning into a what is it? Just like a double header between Mark and Dan. But that was a 6-hour camp, and putting on those, that was even more. I mean, so all these camps from all over the years, I learn every year. But yeah, I am all the energy that goes into it. It's always worth it. Even when I've lost money, it's always worth it, because there's always good training. There's always good laughter. You're hanging out with your friends. And it's especially like, it's like I'd love to be able to just fly Bram out here to hang out, or for me to go over there to hang out. But why not go somewhere and do a seminar? You know, I almost thought that it might be fun. Now, I do like having a school and being like the only instructor right now. It would be kind of hard, but I would almost think that in the next couple of years, I would love to just travel around the U.S. And or like go to a location, like travel to a seminar, but on my way to the seminar, I do my own seminars, whether it be Q show or modular or whatever, on my way there, and then do seminars on my way back. I'd like to go to Europe with Jim from Warren. Yeah. He actually, he's always told me, hey, you're always invited, because I would, it'd always be cool to do this. But he actually invited me to go. Of course, I have to pay my own way. But I think the next time he's going over there, I think he's going to Germany in September, like first week of December or first week of September. And of course, being a school owner, I just can't. Like, new school, don't have the time. Plus, I'm actually taking time off because I will be in Indiana at the end of September. So, but don't play with my toes. So anyway, that's because I actually wanted to go, because Klein used to go to Italy all the time to see Gianluca and do seminars. And I know Harvey went over there once. I know Korn went over there with him once. And he said, you're always invited. Takes money and time. So when I had the time, I didn't have the money, and now I just don't have either. So I guess it is what it is. But that's the adventures of promoting and hosting a camp. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be, I don't know if I'm actually going to be online on Friday, because the camp starts at 10. But I don't know if we're going to go out to breakfast or not. So I might do another podcast this early. In fact, I kind of like doing it at 7, because it is, well, right now it's 7:45 my time, but I get it done and out of the way. Now, on to Jim's book. So this has been a project that Jim and I have been working on for, I'm going to say probably a year. He had been doing some recordings. I had been, last September, I was recording. I'm having some people send me, like Warren sent me a story. But it is up for pre-sale. So if you're wanting to get Jim's book, it is ready for pre-sale. This is the book right here. It's funny because, so this is the first proof. That's why it says not for resale. But this is like, it's thick. Like this one goes literally all the way up to the end. And 249 printed page, or not 249 tagged pages, but then in reality, that's considered a page. That's considered a page. So I've got, let's see, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12. So I've got like 14 pages before the 149. Now, here's the thing is that I've added another 12 pages to this book. So the next proof will be here tomorrow because I wanted to see how many pages I have between this page and that page, the barcode page. So for pictures or extra growth. So I'll get an idea of how much space, because I want to try and fill up the book, but if I don't, I don't. It's it is what it is. But getting stories, getting those extra stories in there, it's gonna be great. So because I actually have, and when it comes to producing books, like this one, Jim did it vocally, like he recorded the stories and other people recorded the stories. I transcribed them, edited them, put them in a book. What is it? What was I going to say? I cannot remember what I was going to say. I totally lost track. I hate it when that happens. Anyway. So, because I was talking about putting books together. And I know the next thing I want to talk about, but there was something else that was right there. It is what it is. Anyway, so Dwayne, on to the next thing. If I remember the other thing, I remember the other thing. So Dwayne, it's called a senior moment. Is that what it is? I've heard that term before, and I always like the term, what was his name? Rush Limbaugh. I know, triggering name. He used to call, because I actually used to, when I was a machinist and I was a driver, I actually used to listen to his show. I mean, this was like 25 years ago, almost 30 years ago. When I would drive for the machine shop, before I actually moved onto the machines, I started off in the brewery and as driver. But anyway, so I would listen to him, and he would never call senior citizens. He would call them seasoned citizens. And I always thought that was kind of cool. So I've always tried to use that term, seasoned citizens. So if we go off that same thing, instead of it being a senior moment, it can be a seasoned moment. Anyway, total, all right. So this is my dumb moment. How many books do you think that I have, that I have in print, that I've done myself? Okay. That are mine, that my name is on. I think I have 5. Okay. So I have 5 books. This is technically Jim's, but he sees it as our book. So on the front, he actually wanted my name on the front too. So the new one actually says Jim Korn, and then in smaller text it says with machine worker, even though on the inside that's exactly what it says. Now, but so I have 5 books, and each of the books I have somebody write a foreword. Okay. And I have people proofread my books and all that kind of stuff. And I've had lots of compliments on my books. How do you think I was spelling forward? Just wild guess. And I have to thank Dwayne Jim's brother for pointing this out, because like I knew better, but I didn't catch it. None of my proofreaders caught it, and I never got criticized for it. So obviously, this is something that people just don't pay attention to. But when it comes to there's a forward and forward. So forward, spelled Forard, like that, is to move forward. Okay. Forward, a forward in a book is spelled Foreword. It's a forward. It's before, it's words before the book. Okay. So all of my books, not the Q Show guide, because there is no forward in that, but all of my other books that have forwards in them, it's spelled like this. I was just like, I couldn't believe how dumb I was. Like, that's so dumb. Like I just felt like an idiot. So so of course it made the change in here before it actually fully goes to print. And then I actually went back and pulled out my digital copies of my other books and made those changes as well. So that I just felt so dumb. I was like, but here's the thing, is that you'd think somebody would have caught it, but nobody did. So obviously that's not something that anybody pays attention to. And part of the thing is that some of the people that proofread my books are writers themselves. So it is what it is. I have since changed that. So all the new books that are printed forward will be, even though it was spelled correctly, it was the wrong forward. So, yeah. So anyway, that was a learning moment for me. I was like, duh. Yeah. So looking forward to that. But I've got, this is actually, we're going to go to print August 1st. So, that's what I was going to say. So I actually have I originally set up 2 copies of this because of, we got everybody to do their stuff. I actually Zoomed with Mark because he didn't have time to write one up. So I just Zoomed with him and then recorded the Zoom and then, did the whole, the transcribing and all that kind of stuff. But there were other ones where it's like we asked for this a while ago. I had been sending friendly reminders. They were promising Jim. So there's like 2 or 3 people that we're going to get stuff, but or that we're going to submit stuff, but just we haven't gotten it yet. So I was like, okay, I need 2 copies. So I actually have one that it is complete from, like, it's all the pictures are in there that we want to go in there. And that's actually the proof that I'm getting, just to see how many more pages are there. So I can, because we'll put more pictures, because there's pictures throughout the book. And then there's pictures, there's kind of basically, I just want to fill up the rest of them with pictures. So the rest of the book, just have the back end with pictures. Why waste space? And Jim has sent me a lot of really cool pictures. And then there's the next copy, which basically has a guesstimation of what the size potentially could be with the thing. So I just add that in there. So I'm going to wait until the Brams camp is over. So like for Warren, for your section, I have it. I just haven't put it in the book yet because I'm just going to do that after the camp. So yeah. But August 1st. Now, there's actually been some people who've actually told me that they don't want to buy the book on pre-order, that they want to pay full price for Jim's book because Jim's warranties, or Jim, it's it's his book. He makes money off of it. So so I'm like, oh, okay. Like, because Jim's like, and it was so funny because within the first 24 hours, we sold of it being posted, we sold 10 books, which is not bad. Like, and we've sold a couple here and there. So I can't remember exactly how many we've sold so far, but we've sold, a little bit here and there. And I only posted it on Monday. So, I mean, it's been 4 days, because this is the morning of day 5. And I don't even think I posted until like noon. So, so it's not too bad, we're getting, but it was so funny because he's like, oh, hey, have you heard from this person? Oh, how many how many books have we sold? And I think it was like, what was it? I think that was about it, like 2 or 3 o'clock. And I was like, oh, we've sold 5 books, because we sold 5 books right off the bat. And he's like, really? He says, that's 4 more than I expected. So, but yeah, it's a fun book. So, and then at some point, it'll end up making it into Kindle. So, so we'll that'll be announced as well what day that will happen on as well. So, but of course, I don't want the program Kindle, like actually put it into Kindle. That's going to be new for me. So, so I'm working. There's this one software program. There's actually, so Steve Perry, he told me about this one program. It's like a $300 program that you pretty much put your book in there and you say, this is what I want it to do. And it formats everything. Like, it's so automated. It's crazy automated. I don't want to spend $300. I actually kind of like doing it the hard way. Even though, but anyway, you can build the book in that, and then you can be like, okay, I want it to go to print through Amazon, or I want it to go to print through another publisher, or I want to put it on Kindle, or I want to put it on Nook, and it'll reformat the way that it needs to be and save it as that file. So that would be an awesome program to have. But I have this other program that it's designed to make stuff for Kindle. So it's just a matter of learning the software. I've kind of played around with it. It's not too hard. Being computer literate is very helpful. But what was I going to say? But yeah, so it'll eventually be on Kindle, and I'm hoping that we can get the pictures in there as well. So so yeah, that should be a thing. And I'd like to, and this is using a whole different program, I'd like to put it on iBooks as well. And I can do that. It's just I have not I just have never done that before. Just like the Kindle. Like I'm used to working with KDP. Never put anything on Apple stuff. So now once I get that down, I could potentially put my other books like on iBooks or Kindle or whatever. So, and I think with iBooks, like you can actually like put in, you can actually put in like a video. So like where I put QR codes in, like it'll actually be, instead of having the QR code in there, I can actually put a link to the video, or embed the video in there. So, Young, how are you, sir? So anyway, that's kind of my life right now. Of course, I have other books in line. I'm like the one I'm most excited about is this martial arts alphabet book. Hopefully, when I see Bobby, he will have more stuff done. But I know his life has been crazy. But I'm like, just because it like, oh, just so exciting. It's just so exciting. So, let's see. Oh, yeah. Another thing I'm doing on, and Warren says hi. The other thing I'm doing is on Saturday, I've also got a movie night. So we've got a movie night, and that is going to be, we're doing The Karate Kid. So, long day. So I'll still be able to like, we're like, with the camp, and I know we're back at the camp, with the camp, even though it's happening at the school, we're still having the barbecue at the house. So is what it is. But yeah. And then Rob, who's probably working, that's probably why he's not on here. He did some engraving for me. Or some more engraving. And then he sent me, like, it almost looked like bottle opener things that engraved with Bram's logo on it. He sent me a picture. So I don't know if it's just a couple of them that he did, but it was definitely a surprise for me. So I'm just like, wow. So I don't know. We might have another giveaway or another item for sale or, whatever. But yeah, so super, super, super excited about that. I think today, let's see, today's Friday, at 10. So basically in 2 hours, I have my lightsaber camp going. That will go until 4. And then, and then I have a private, and then I have modular online. So I probably won't be done with my day until like 6. But also it's supposed to be freaking hot here. Like, I've been so I actually rode my bike to the school. I've been choosing to ride my bike, exercise, and so I don't use so much gas. And I'm not opposed to riding my bike. I actually used to ride my bike to the hospital, and that was like 15 miles away. That was back in the day. So, and I live 3 miles from the school. So my wife said I cannot ride when it's super, super hot. I think I mentioned this last week or the week before. Anyway, so I rode yesterday, and I rode the day before. But today I don't know if I'll be riding. I'd like to, but I want to have a car there just in case, because I'll, bunch of kids there. But man, I rode the other day, the first day I rode, because I rode last week, and then finally I rode a couple days ago, and not last night, the night before, I woke up with leg cramps. Like it just, I don't think I drank enough water. So I rode yesterday. I am so tired and my body hurts so much, but like I definitely am using muscles that I haven't used in a long time. Like, I'm sorry, I don't care how long you can do a horse stance. Riding a bike is, we're going to be doing different muscles. Okay. So let's see. Warren Post. He says, I know this is off track, but have you seen the commercial about the lawsuit or lawyer is doing a paternity suit against Captain Kirk for alien babies? No, I had not seen that. That's actually pretty funny. That's good. That's good. That is funny. That is funny. Yeah, no, I can totally see that. And on the topic of Star Trek, man, oh, hold on. I'll see if I can hook you up on that video. Yeah, definitely either tag me, like post it, tag me, or like send it to me in Messenger. Yeah, I'd love to see that. I got you. See? Ooh, kitty. Yes, don't wiggle. See? There we go. That's got to look. Look, you like looking at yourself. See? There's a pretty kitty. Yep. Wiggles. Anyway, so on the topic of Star Trek, so we are up to what, episode 5 of Strange New Worlds. I think every episode has been like, there have been like Una's trial. I think her episode, that's going to be and it's been out for weeks, so I could give a crap about spoilers. But her trial episode is, I think, is going to go down. For me, it's going to be one of those classic Star Trek episodes. Not the best episode ever made, but it's going to be a classic episode. I put it on the level of Measure of a Man. There's and the one thing I really do like about Strange New Worlds is because it is Star Trek. Like, when it really captures that essence, and not to say that the other shows aren't Star Trek, but when you try and capture, Star Trek has always been that woke show. Okay. But it's not that woke show of, I'm telling you a message and I'm shoving that message down your throat and you have to believe that message. It is, we're going to tell a story and there's a message to this story. And you could take this message in a good way, or you could take the message in the bad way. We're going to leave it up to you, but we're just going to tell a story. And then there's some episodes where we're just going to tell the story to tell a story. There is no moral to the story. There is no, there's no enlightenment. We're just going to tell a story. And those stories are also very, very good. But I think so far they've done a really good job of kind of pushing forward, very character driven, action, but not a lot of action, yeah, I've really, really enjoyed it. And there's some detractors that have been like, oh, well, I can't believe that they've done this. The ship doesn't look right. Oh, it's like, you know what? If they had had money in the 60s and the technology in the 60s, this is probably what the Enterprise would have looked like. I mean, really. So yes, is it, you know, not exact? No, it's not exact, but it doesn't have to be. Like there's got to, and it's a TV show. Like it's a TV show. It's not, you know. They did an episode Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow with Captain Kirk from basically another time a time travel story done right. There were some questions in there of the whole Khan, the Khan timeline, because Khan was supposed to happen in 96, or he left in 96, so the war was right about in 92. But and the way that they're telling this story is that due to the timeline, there's been so many changes to the timeline that this story actually happens in early 21st century Toronto, which is kind of funny that it's happening in Toronto, yet Khan took over India. Anyway, it is what it is. But and I can buy that if we're saying that it's cut by, you know, that all the different changes in the timeline because the temporal wars and bringing that stuff from Enterprise, which I wasn't a really big fan of, but it is what it is. But even with the temporal wars, we could still have Kirk meet Khan when he did, and it can still be 1996 because there could have been more changes and it could have reverted stuff back. This is just her experiences then. So it's just storytelling. Now, the showrunners, the writers, they were saying, okay, well, the reason that we did this is because we want Star Trek to be that utopian future and that it is still in our future. But here's the thing is that if that happens, then our future still has a World War III. Okay. Now, are we on the verge of that? How would you define a World War III? Where is it going to take place? You know, so yeah, it's all, you know, but for me, like I like Star Trek to me means a lot. Like I'm a Star Wars fan, but I'm a Trekkie. Like there's no, like, that's kind of where my heart lies. But I understand it's a TV show and it does give us that, the hope for the future. And we can definitely emulate from Star Trek technology wise and concept wise, ideas for how our future could and should be. But at the same time, it's a TV show. So anyway, that's just me. Now, this last episode, it was enjoyable. Wasn't the greatest. It was enjoyable. In fact, I really liked it up until the very last scene. And I'm just like, that was not, like, the last scene was not necessary. And because it just aired yesterday, I won't talk about it. I'll let people watch it first. I'll talk about it in a couple days. I still need to talk to Rob more about it. In fact, I actually haven't had a really good conversation with Rob because the last time Rob called, I was actually having lunch with my wife. So, but, so yeah, it's just one of those things. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I am looking forward. So we have 5 more episodes of that. And then right after that, we have Ahsoka, which the new trailer just dropped for that. And oh my gosh, amazing. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, just I'm so looking forward to it. I saw an infographic that popped up of what important shows should you watch to like if you've never watched like Clone Wars. So between Clone Wars and Rebels, what shows should you watch? And actually wasn't too bad, but it was actually more of watching, like there were a handful, even though Ahsoka is like all throughout the Clone Wars because it's her, Anakin, and Obi-Wan. There was a handful of Clone Wars episodes. It actually said that you should watch all of Rebels, but here's some key Rebels episodes to watch. And actually, I think it actually had it listed in chronological order. So there was what was it? I wish I had saved it. I wish I had saved the graphic. The 3 Tales of the Jedi episodes, a couple Clone Wars episodes, specifically the last 4 from season 7. That's the Siege of Mandalore. And then some key Rebels episodes, even throwing in the book, Ahsoka's book, and the Ahsoka book, which actually was pretty good. That was actually one I have on paper, and I've actually read the book. This was not an audiobook that I got. And then there was what was the other one? Oh, and then of course the Heir to the Empire, the Legacy books that Timothy Zahn wrote. So so to really get ready for Ahsoka coming up, here's the stuff that you should watch, books you should read or listen to. And I thought it was a pretty good list. I was like, oh, not bad. So yeah. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Right now, just kind of in the background, I'm rewatching. I got through Enterprise. I'm watching Voyager. I think I'm in season 2, and it's just one of those things where if I need noise, like if I'm working on the laptop and I need noise in the background, I'll have it on in the background. But yeah. But at the same time, there are certain episodes that I am watching for neck pinches because, and I could cheat and go to those neck pinches. But like I've said before, there's like on Memory Alpha, they only have like 4 neck pinches in listed, but there's or 4 episodes where the Vulcan neck pinch is used in Enterprise. But in reality, there's like 6 or 7 episodes. So I'm especially like with Voyager, they have a Vulcan on the ship. So I'm going to see which episodes that it's not listed. So, and even in the episode, one of the episodes I watched yesterday, because I was making, and I don't have it up here. I was finalizing the certificate of training for our lightsaber camp. So I had it on, but it's a pretty good episode. God, I can't remember the actor's name. He always plays a crazy guy. But he's a Maquis that ends up killing a Starfleet officer just because he's a psychopath. Like he killed because he killed. He just, couldn't, he looked at me wrong, I think is one of his things. And then, what is it? Tuvok mind melds with him because Tuvok is like, well, murder is not logical. I don't understand. All right, Warren, thank you for hanging out, sir. Um, and so he mind melds with him to try and understand why he would just kill to kill. And then because this other guy's a Betazoid, and of course he's a Vulcan, Tuvok's a Vulcan. Tuvok goes crazy, and like he one of his methods for trying to overcome this his whatchamacallit, basically the mind meld went wrong. Like he started going crazy himself. Is this scene, and it's like I so wish it was real, because he actually Tuvok is sitting down, not Tuvok. Neelix sits down with Tuvok, and Tuvok just won't stop, or Neelix just won't stop talking, and Tuvok grabs him by the neck, and he's like, ah, and he kills Neelix. And it was such an exciting, and then you're like, oh, he's on the holodeck. Oh well. But there is a scene where Tuvok comes into the brig, and he takes out the officer, the security officer that's in there, but you don't see it, you hear it. The guys, and so when you actually see it, the guy's laying on the ground, and Tuvok is like, I'm here to kill you, blah 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 blah. Was a neck pinch used? I personally think, because that's like, was a neck pinch used, or did he just do that old karate chop to the neck, Kirk Fu type move, because he's not in his right mind? So, and then there was another scene. So, when it comes to Vulcans and the Vulcan nerve pinch, and the reason that Nimoy came up with it, all makes perfect sense, but I don't think in Voyager Tuvok is. I have in my brain Tuvix, and I cannot stand. I hate that episode. I hate the character. I know it was trying to tell us like a moral of the story, but it was dumb. Anyway, but I can't get that name out of my head. What was I saying? I can't remember what I was saying. Anyway, like the reason that Vulcans would use a Vulcan nerve pinch is because they're not violent. They're not going to hit somebody over the head. They're not going to be any, but I think in a couple episodes, you actually like Tuvok, not being possessed by anybody else, actually like hits or takes something and hits somebody over the head with it, and just doesn't neck pinch them. So I think that's a writer's fault. So because that's happened earlier, I can't really assume that the person, that a neck pinch was actually done, but I don't know. So I think, and one of the reasons I'm doing that is because I want to get the timestamps for the neck pinches, and then because that's an addendum in the newer version of my neck pinch book. So just as, hey, here's all of the neck pinches. And in Tomorrow, we get Captain Kirk from another universe actually using a Vulcan nerve pinch, which was awesome. Yeah. So yeah. All right. So I think that's everything for today. I got a lot to do. I got a camp starting in an hour and a half. So I have to get up to the school, and it's the last day. I don't have a lot to do, but I just I already did some cleaning yesterday. I just got to get up there, get my brain into it. So I'm pretty sure I will be here next week, early. Can't guarantee it though. So, but if we do it, Bram will be here. So it'll be me and Bram, and there you go. So thank you for all hanging out and interacting. If you haven't got it, buy Jim's book. Go to my website, artisanmartialarts.com. And there you go. So love to y'all. Be safe, live long and prosper.